Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Commentary is Magic stream on today's Sunday, July 16th, 2023. I am a tomato.
You're a tomato?
I am a tomato.
You're a tomato. This is why we wear sunscreen when we go outside, or better, ideally, don't go outside. Outside bad.
I'm a strawberry. I guess I'm big cheese.
I'm the one who doesn't go outside and hisses at the daylight. Or a cat.
Well, now there's nothing I can say that will be fitting, so nah, I'm not answering.
I'm not answering is still an answer. In the immortal words of Geddy Lee, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
Pulling out some Rush references here.
Yeah, we are.
How many?
What's up?
I don't know. I think this kind of pains me to say, but that one might be a bit obscure for most of our audience.
Yeah, I don't care.
What?
Rush?
You want the one with more GBs?
I want the one with more GBs, yes. Correct.
Or how about the one with more BGs?
Alright, we'll see. Anyway, we have an interesting stream today. Because unlike every other stream where we all completely agree with each other 100%, we are intentionally trying to start fights and woke up and chose violence this morning. Sort of. Aura,
yes,
what's that?
We always agree.
What's going on, Aura?
Well, somebody decided to go pick 8 of what are probably the top contenders in the known meta. And we're going to throw them all into the Thunderdome. 8 deck center. Well, mostly bruises and other assorted injuries leave.
Sure. And talk about who we think is favored. Now, there's a reason that we're doing this, which is, Continentals is now less than a month away, officially.
Hope you already have a hotel room.
If you don't, good news. There are lots of hotels in Bellevue. There's just not the Hyatt Regency. We'll see how that
At
goes.
Bellevue rates.
Yeah, true. But yeah, it's probably worth adding a couple of caveats here at the beginning. Before we go, we take a look at these decks and we take a look at how we've ranked the matchups. First off, these are 8 decks that we believe, based on either performance in the past, in tournaments, in private play, or just sheer gut reaction, are some of the most well-positioned decks. We have elected to include at least one deck of each archetype. So there's aggro decks, there are control decks, there's a farm deck, there's a mid-range deck, and there's at least one combo deck. That being said, I still think that even with each of those archetypes being selected, these decks are still likely the best choices. There are a large number of additional decks that are also still moderately to significantly competitive. This is not the end-all be-all list, it's what we've selected. There are things that are not mentioned here. Some of them are not mentioned for a reason. Others are more a coin toss. Maybe not coin toss, but let's call it a no more than, what do you think, like 10% additional win percentage or loss percentage between the lowest of these and the highest of the next 8?
I don't think I care to start throwing percentages around here.
I think some of them are coin toss. We had to pick one though, so.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll see.
And there's lots of tiebreakers here. Like, queen just generally being preferable. Just saying.
Queen gets bonus points.
Queen gets bonus points because queen.
The hope is that in looking at these 8 decks, in looking at every possible matchup, we're not going to go into full detail on them, but at least show our ratings for the possible matchups they could have and which decks we believe to be favored, and the reasons why, you may get an idea as to why certain decks may be favored going into Continentals, if this is at all what the metagame ends up looking like. And in cases where we don't agree with each other, if that happens, we'll sit here and yell and scream and fight about it for your entertainment.
What do you mean if?
Spoilers.
I'm starting this one off early. No, we're going to agree on everything.
Well, I disagree with that statement.
Well, I disagree with that disagreement. Would you like to
This
go
stream is-
turtles all the way down here?
This stream has already become meta. Anyway, how about we take a look at the 8, huh? Our top 8 unique decks for core as it currently stands.
All right, here's number 1.
Is anyone surprised?
I mean, I'm surprised that there's a copy of Lunch Break in here, but
Really?
it's also... Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, I'm surprised there's a copy of Lunch Break.
Why?
Why are you surprised at the copy of Lunch Break?
But I still don't like that card. I don't get that card.
This has things that care.
You think that you can generate enough tokens with this that you can afford the Lunch Break and then shenanigans?
Oh, yeah.
I think this is probably the only deck that can probably do that.
I don't think it's going to happen every game, nor do I think that the meta is as favorable to relying on Lunch Break to just guarantee a win as it would have been, a few months ago, which is why it's down from 2 copies to 1, and there's a levitation meditation in here for additional disruption. But yeah, I think if you can manage to find a Lunch Break in a deck that already filters through its deck exceedingly quickly and draw it, and you can land that with a Magic Instructor in any single game, you have basically won at that point. And if you don't, you know what? You still have AT generators, you still have the Tranquility plus Magic Instructor plus Mistmain, like BS, all that. We've seen Adventure, we've seen Core. Royal Tutor is a very consistent deck that can be difficult for certain decks to interact with. And unlike combo decks of yesteryear, it does not rely on saving up massive amounts of AT for one single burst turn. It has enough generators that it can increment this over time, which means that it is also better positioned than a deck that goes from 0 to 15, as it can actually get a point advantage and then maintain that point advantage just through sheer value.
Yeah, because there is maybe not a lot of disruption in here, but there's enough to be annoying. And remember, it doesn't matter if you've managed to keep your opponent in a box almost the entire game. If they have one more point than you, you're still losing.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Other than the Lunch Break, not a whole lot of really wild inclusions here. And it's probably worth noting that just like with our, what are we thinking streams, you can probably make alterations to 5 or so cards from these decks, and the overall performance will still be relatively close to what we're going to be talking about here today. All right, what's next?
Next up, I got Honk. Also pink. Also a bunch of white stuff and a certain bodyguards.
This looks
Non
really
gotcha.
annoying.
Remove all the things.
I think we discussed, if not this, then something very close to this in the online con recap. So I don't think there should be a whole lot surprising here. And yes, this just looks infuriating to play against.
Lots of removal. Good amount of recursion for you. And the first example that we will see of both the Lord Tyrek plus Weirback synergy, as well as the idea of a wish board in your sideboard using latest greatest creation and intentionally choosing cards that you would want to find in specific matchups and increasing their frequency of drawing them. Oh, you only have one copy of Claude, you only have one copy of Smile, you only have one copy of Fit of Peak, you only have 2 copies of Lord Tyrek. Well, not if you put them in the sideboard, you don't. Then you actually have that many plus 1 because of latest greatest creation.
Ah.
And prospecting, stunning expose, mystery, say hi to my little friend. A lot of these problems are a little bit lower on the confront requirement than what we've seen from some other control decks in the past, but this is also using Silverstream. Silverstream wants to confront.
Does she really? I think her goal is more just, get in the way and be annoying and want to see what you're doing.
What, you don't like cards?
That's too bad, because she loves cards.
When she confronts, Silverstream does like cards. How about another control deck? Watch how many cards change.
Let's see.
It's not that many.
Hey, some stuff like move left and right a little bit.
There's a decent amount of change, but
There. Same basic idea, though. Except now we are removing cards before they even hit play, either by making the opponent discard them, or by making them so prohibitively expensive that there's nothing they can do about it. Throw a wink with the Unity bonus, plus spoons, plus Chrissy at an opponent, and you have stalled them out for at least one turn.
Queen thinks Silverstream is lacking in ambition. You're only removing things after they hit the field?
Fair point. Much
Wink
lighter.
is so annoying.
Wink is very annoying. Much lighter on the friend count. Higher on the flip average. Kind of all in on the Garble plan. But Garble's a good card. And I get the feeling that won't be the last time I say that in our discussions here today.
It passes the Thunder Laden test.
For me, yes.
Well, it's a whole extra power.
It also
says he's
says,
kind of surprised that there's no parachutes for Garble. Again, you've got 5 cards to play with here beyond where we're at. If you really want to go all in on the Garble plan, you could run the parachutes for that.
I mean, if you're up against heavy removal, then probably should.
Not a bad idea. It is probably worth asking, what do you take out for it? And it's also probably worth asking, does it meaningfully change the matchup?
yeah, I think my complaint with these has always been that you have a problem getting enough resources, so I'd maybe think about throwing some Tempest in here. Maybe.
We'll see. I mean, the resources in this case definitely come from Saddle Row Storefront, plus more Unicorn Generation with Summoning Bell and Stellar Flare. But, it's not Bodyguard, so it's not that much Unicorn Generation. That being said, the taxes that this deck can stack up, they're pretty expensive. Next.
Let's take a look on the lighter side of things here.
Zoom.
And actually, like, want to get something done for once, maybe. Instead of just sitting there and just being like, no!
Zoom, zoom, zoom. Gotta go fast. While having lots of disruption.
I was about to say, there's some no in here.
You mean leaving a trail of destruction behind you?
Yeah. That's basically the old, like, the two things this deck does.
Deck gonna go fast, and it's gonna go fast at the cost of your opponent's friends.
Yeah.
Unless you make Gilda angry.
Also, it can steal resource.
Yes,
Honk.
you can.
Silverstream she's nice.
You has a bucket? No. I has a bucket.
Yeah, so it's just like Cadence aggro. I don't know if I think we've talked about this before. I assume we have.
It's been featured on a number of our weekly games, at least.
Yeah. It's a fun deck.
It also has quite a bit of sideboard potential. A key card that may need to be included in here would be something like Citywide Shield. But good news, it slots in beautifully.
This is the wrong version of this deck.
Is it?
Yes.
Why? Oh, yes. Yes, it is. This is the wrong version of this deck.
Would you like to point out what's wrong?
Yeah, for so long we've been arguing over what's the new name for it? Rules technicality.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
And-
I'll accept your groveling now.
Yeah,
It
you were
doesn't-
right.
It doesn't belong in aggro decks.
It does. It belongs in control, or at least decks that are a little bit more focused on the immediate speed disruption.
Okay, so this is possibly the one deck that I might consider leaving that in for.
Nope.
This deck has so much dismiss or like tempo, whatever, like screw with your opponent, and yet it still can't protect that problem.
Yeah.
Right. You cannot go in expecting to run yourself all the way out of tokens if you've got that in your problem deck. I'm not saying that it is a hard no or a hard yes. It can be run in here, and this deck is probably one of the leading candidates simply because it has so much interaction.
Bugle brings up a good point. If you take out both copies, you probably drop the Discords for something else instead. Although Discord is still good against farm to replace their problem. So that's not bad. But dropping rules technicality down to 1 is probably a safer call, and then just run the 1 copy of Let the Rainbow Remind You.
Yeah, bait
Maybe.
and switch is a decent argument, but yeah, okay. So if you're not a chicken,
If you want to win your games, don't run it. If you want to lose your games and have a weird sense of pride, feel free to keep running.
You were right, Ivory.
we promised bickering.
We haven't even gotten to that. So, anyway, next deck.
Certain trader don't like how much treason is going on here.
Fluttershy is so good. There's a lot of Fluttershies on this deck, but Birds of a Feather.
Birds of a Feather is exceptionally good. Also, that little snacky boy that Ara didn't let us put the art that we wanted on it. That one.
You know why you can't have nice things?
I do.
He's okay.
He's pretty good, especially in conjunction with Birds of a Feather, where you DFO and then get to use that, all those critters at home on your next turn as like fuel to get stuff out on the board.
You're saying Birds of a Feather passes the Thunderlane test.
Yeah, we've got 2 cards so far that, in my opinion, pass the Thunderlane test.
Yeah, Birds of a Feather is a must-answer card.
I like playing adoption options of being able to grab a Birds of a Feather, an Antswan, and a Bunyip.
Yeah.
It's quite rude. or a Brian, or an Angel, or a Bad Hair Day, or I guess a Gummy, but like, why would you do that?
Could also grab a Fluttershy. The one
Either
that's
one.
in a bunny.
The Fluttershy in image only, or the Fluttershy in name only?
Bunnershy. I'm aware that this is not sufficiently precise.
Buttershy. Is this running both or just one? No, it's running both.
Both.
It's running both, right next to each other.
Yeah.
There's been a few tweaks, like Beagle mentions. Autumn Blaze often swapped out for Spooky Ruins. Pearl High swapped out for Unsparkling Cider.
I just don't like Spooky Ruins generally. In like aggro decks.
Spooky Ruins, in terms of draw denial and the face-off prevention, was actually more useful. But again, you got the 5 card slots, so make the changes as you see fit. This is at least a good starting template.
Yeah.
Also, some good price wheel cards here with the Antoines and the Raccoon Rampages and the Scary Stories. Not bad.
Okay, I heard you like Fluttershy, so I got you more Fluttershy.
I do like Fluttershy.
More Fluttershy?
She's very cute.
An update on a classic?
Yeah, but with a classic main. No longer with the hidden strength.
Or
No longer with the hidden strength.
Yes, no
not
longer with
any of the previous 2 names.
Yes.
I mean, if you're not focusing on dilemmas, you can add in more friends. More friends is more fun, right?
Yeah.
Means you have room for Yona, you have room for other Yona.
I was going to say that this deck looks too high effort, but then it's still got most of the ringers from the mono Fluttershy deck.
It does. It's dropping the value engine of Birds of a Feather and Antoine, and instead is relying on things like CC and Flitter and Canterlot Citizens and Yona Make a Path.
And then if that's not good enough, just here, have a Plush Dash.
Right. Or a Shoe Shine. Or Fleetfoot.
It's always Shoe Shine in the end.
Mm-hmm. It does also have one of the single best answers in core right now for dealing with any of the Troublemaker control decks or farm decks, which is Pony Pirate.
Which Pony Pirate? There are only 6 of them.
There is only one Pony Pirate in this deck.
Yeah. Plushy Dash is not a Pony Pirate.
Fluttershy. Pony Pirate. So, different takes. But yes, a classic. Nice to see some Pegasi.
See, but none of this is really your style, is it, GP? I think this next one's a little bit more your style.
The next one's fine. Doesn't have enough garble.
Is this? Yeah, this one. Do you think Garble goes in Alicorns?
Not in this version, no. I think if you're going to still try to make Student 6 work, then you can do Garble there. But no, you could make the argument that you include Garble over here. It's not the worst choice in the world. Garble's still really good.
Yeah. This is like the one deck that can run Draw Straws.
Any deck can run Draw Straws, if you're not a chicken.
Still not even 100% sure that it ends up being better. It should be, but...
There's been a few times where it worked out okay.
Yeah, it lets you do stupid things turn 2. If you get the hand.
If you get the hand, correct. But that swing can be so good that it might not matter what you get after that.
Well, yes, and you're going to sit there and just turn to your opponent and be like, Choose the form of your destructor. Yes, that's an original Ghostbusters reference.
Nice. A lot of removal here still, because we still got the full rack of bodyguards. So Belly Flops, Chaos Magic, Smile Smile, Catajack. We'll talk about some disrespectful plays. Let's talk about Hasty in Catajack with Royal Family. Rude.
Yeah, that is the thing.
Thorax, have you exhausted your birds of a feather and are now preparing to just obliterate me in a DFO? What about, no. Rude. Still fun. There's a bit of yellow out there. Makes it a little bit scary with the Yonos running around, but at the very least, having Heartswarming Guess means that a card being put back into your hand is less detrimental to this deck than the older style of Reanimator that could only get stuff out of the discard pile. Or, really only try to get things out of the discard pile.
Alright, and one last one for the discerning player who doesn't like thinking. And just likes Smash.
The goat?
Smash.
Hulk Smash.
Okay. Garble does go in here.
Really?
Just a little bit.
A bit.
Only a little bit?
So let me back up a moment here. You are implying that you did not windmill slam Garble into this deck.
I did. I just had to pick the cards that I was dropping for Garble, but I knew there were cards that were being dropped for Garble.
You had to wind up a little bit.
Bugle says no white or blue main. I guess the queen doesn't count. Rude.
Yeah, she doesn't count. We don't care about her.
But yeah, no blue main. I mean, if we included a blue farm deck, then yeah. And there probably is a blue farm deck you could add in.
Seleno, you can do Seleno stuff.
To the list, but... Blue aggro right now is just not doing it.
It's okay. It has had a strong showing in Coco, but unfortunately that, the single strong showings don't always mean that it's going to fare up well against some of the other decks. Looking at yellow-blue aggro, which gets access to greater utility and greater cost efficiency, and looking at mono-yellow, which can go faster, it just begs the question of, why would you choose the mono-blue option instead? And there hasn't really been a good answer for it.
Well, if we were running an adventure, I'd have an answer to that, but...
Yeah, but that's a different main. We don't talk about that main here. All right, so we have these 8 decks. We have Royal Tutor for combo. We have both Chrissy and Silverstream for control. We have Cadence, Nurturing Nature, and Thorax for aggro. We have Skystar for Reanimator midrange. And we have Growcord for farm. That's 28 unique matchups, not counting the mirror matches, if you have been counting.
I mean, I've got great data on all the mirror matches. Every deck is always advantage towards itself. Just saying.
So
That's
with that,
crazy.
I am technically correct.
With that, shall we sit there and see how each of us feels about these?
The win rate adds up to 100%.
The win rate does add up to 100%. Alright. So here's what we got.
GP buy.
Bye, GP. GP, bye. Walk us through this, Ara.
Well, like it says, would you like me to read the slide? Okay, I'll read the slide.
Yeah,
So
it's like,
here's
you're doing any aggravating business presentation where it's like, why did you make this? Why didn't you just email it out to me?
Why? Because
this meeting could have been an email.
This meeting could have been an email. Look, I've even got a laser pointer. Now you're like all just. Okay, so like it says, this is the grid of all the matchups. Each of us has filled out whether we think, for each matchup, whether we think which deck is advantaged. So if there is no vote for a deck by one of us, then that means that we're voting for the other deck to be advantaged here. So let's see, here we go. So like here's my vote for Chrissy versus Silverstream. So I'm the only one in this box, so I think Chrissy is advantaged for Silverstream, and then over here, Silverstream versus Chrissy would be everyone else. So everyone else thinks that Silverstream will win. I'm like, Chrissy wins, and you know why? Because Queen gets points for Queen. Thought I was kidding about having a laser pointer.
No, you weren't. You were serious. That being said, there's a decent amount of agreement on a few of these matches.
On most of them.
There's a few where Ara is going to need to explain your smallness.
No, I'm not going to explain my smallness. I'm going to ask you to explain your smallness.
Explain our bigness.
I'm going to explain my bigness and you to explain your smallness.
We are 3 times bigger. We do not have the smallness.
That's nice.
We are not Nugget.
That's nice. I flipped 6 times the cards you did. That's going to be my excuse for pretty much that entire row. Anyway, so there's obviously some points of contention here.
You want to highlight a couple of them, and we'll sit here and fight about it?
Yeah, so there's a few of these. I'm thinking probably this one. Yeah. And so it's the eternal struggle. The pretty pink pony princess versus the foil that just wants none of this.
Okay. And how did the votes line up on this one? I believe that in favor of Kate.
So this is a 50-50 split.
Yep.
Myself and Cheese say Cadence wins this. Ivory and GP say Chrissy wins it.
I think from playing the actual matchup, it's like wow, Bugle. It's
wow.
It's close to a 50-50 who wins.
I agree with the sentiment that the matchup is close. I disagree with the fact that it's 50-50. Specifically, I think that it's all really going to hinge on whether or not Cadence can keep Blindfold out, because there are no methods within that deck of dealing with the Weirback engine apart from stopping Tyrek from leaving the discard.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, I'm sitting here going, Queen has to get that particular thing online. Cadence is just going to be too fast. All of this stuff doesn't cost enough. Like, I don't think the Chrissy player is going to flip their main at all, so they're running without one of their biggest advantages.
We literally played this match.
Well,
it did exactly what I just described. Chrissy flipped, taxed the heck out of that deck because its cards are more expensive than some of the other ones, and got the actually, did it get the engine online? I don't know if it ever got the engine online.
I don't think I've seen it get it online against Cadence.
I don't think it got Troublemakers. I think it did have a Weirback, but I don't think it went for the full loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my point, is I don't think you can get that online and get the lock online hard enough, fast enough to keep Cadence in a box.
I will admit it is scary seeing the sheer amount of removal that Cadence has. Obviously, the stop fightings are almost useless, but the other removal can be
I just side them out.
frustrating. Yeah. Ivory, back me up here.
I mean, the amount of annoying things that Chrissy has, I mean, Cadence can probably get a good early start, but I see it slowing down.
I mean,
especially once a lot of these things start coming out.
I mean, that's perfectly fine. Just as long as Cadence can maintain something of a lead, she's got enough annoying stuff to return the favor.
I don't think that's possible. I think the advantage that Chrissy has is that Cadence is built on what would normally be these value, 2-cost cards, 3-cost cards. Making those cards that much more expensive with Chrissy's Spoons or Wink really starts to dig into Cadence's ability to use her main's boosted effect. And the advantage that I think Chrissy has in this matchup over Silverstream is that she has 2 different options for point acceleration with both Garble and Miss May.
Maybe. I mean, but at the same time, if you get to the point where you can take advantage of Cadence's boosted side main, you are probably going to be flipping Chrissy over.
Right. Every other turn.
Which is fine, but I'm also perfectly okay with the Queen player having to waste 3 tokens every other turn to get their main flip back over.
In the absence of a board where you have unicorn tokens, sure, absolutely. But with the fact that you can generate some unicorn tokens here, I don't know. I think Chrissy's favored. I don't think it's a 10% split. I think it's probably 5%.
Maybe.
There is a lot of removal, and Chrissy does run very few friends, but those friends are important. So I will grant you that. So we'll have to see. I agree with you, Ivory, though. Chrissy does have the flexibility to craft her sideboard around this matchup, and I think that's pretty relevant.
Yeah. Cool, so we had a reasonable disagreement.
Screw you, that wasn't reasonable. We were right the whole time.
Dear Princess Celestia, I didn't learn anything. I was right all along.
How about another reasonable disagreement? Let a different voice go first on whatever other one we've got.
I'm interested in the Thorax versus Nurturing Nature matchup. I'm also interested in Skystar versus Growcord, I think.
Okay. Well, here's another one where we've got a 50-50 split. What is our... Okay, so... I think this is another one where Cheese and I are aligned, and GP and Ivory are aligned. You're wrong.
Okay.
So
you really think Rogar can win fast enough?
Go for it, Ivory.
I was gonna say I do not see Growcord winning fast enough against Royal Tutor. Royal Tutor's just gonna sit there and let you do things until it's like, okay, I win.
Completely agree. This is the matchup that Royal Tutor was built for, to obliterate farm.
Dunno.
Explain. Tell me why flipping 6 cards is going to matter when they've been mismating for 3 turns.
Because I saw what this deck did last year, and it was dumb.
Yeah, we didn't have this. We didn't have Trixie.
I knew it would be all Trixie's fault in the end.
Of course it was all Trixie's fault. Everything is Trixie's fault.
Wait, Trixie? What?
Yes.
The prize wheel one.
But this,
yeah.
like, okay, this is over there doing whatever combo things it wants, I guess. That's nice. And if the combo fires, you're dead anyway, so I'm not bothering to consider that. This doesn't have enough force.
What do you mean? No. You do not just get to sit here and hand wave away the I'm just not going to consider what happens if you get the combo going. I'm not even talking lunch break. Just the game plan.
No.
I think.
No, don't.
Okay, no?
Again, don't care. Like, if you're going to do the combo, you're going to do the combo, and then I'm dead anyway. Doesn't matter. So I don't worry about things that I can't solve.
So you think that given the tools that are within Grogar Orange, compared to the tools that are within Royal Tudor White, that Grogar, using those cards right there on the screen, is going to be able to score more points per turn than the deck on the left?
That's the hope. Might not work well, but I'm going to try it.
Calculated risk, bad at math.
Yep. Look, you didn't ask for a deep meta-analysis. This is my gut feeling here. It's probably wrong. Oh well.
I know. I'm just arguing for the sake that it's fun. Because arguing is fun, and we don't get to do it nearly enough. Arguing is magic.
No, arguing is content. Content is magic. Wait.
Ivory, right? This is basically what you're saying.
I kind of got lost along that.
I've seen Grogar go fast, but on average, probably not sufficiently.
I just really don't see there being enough turns of Grogar farming to keep up with this. And yeah, Bugle mentioned it in chat. The only thing that Grogar really has to stop this is Desert Road.
We've got Catajack, which admittedly can slow down a building board state with a lot of AT generators, but you're likely not going to get that Catajack off of a Pony of Shadows because the Celestia deck has too much disruption. You're going to have to try to play it, which means you've just spent 5 AT to do that. And maybe that's worth it. At its fastest, when you think about it, it's possible that Grogar could find itself in a position to, beat up a Pony of Shadows, score a point, get a Garble into play, fight Legion of Doom, use some extra flip effects, win, get more points that way, confront DFO. You are right, Aura, in that the top end of Grogar is very, very quick.
Is it going to be there all the time? No, probably not.
Top end of Grogar is quite fast, though. And I think, actually, the biggest argument you might be able to make here is that if you can manage to somehow get a Garble out quickly, because of all of the extra flips, it's not the fact that you're flipping all those extra cards to help you win the face-off. It's the fact that you are shredding your opponent's hand.
I'm going to eat your stuff.
Yeah. So that is a fair point. Between being able to use Big Hoof potentially multiple times, power play flipping 2 cards when you play it with Garble in play, Rainbow Laser, all of that, and Apple Bloom, yeah, I can see a world where if Celestia has a slow start, even though she'd be able to recover eventually, she might have fallen behind on resources enough that it's not good.
If you can get some momentum going, you're going to give them a real hard time. But conversely, if the momentum starts the other way, and, it will sometimes, you're probably not going to have a real good time.
I don't think this one is that close, but I can see where your argument is coming from. Despite the fact that we started this whole discussion with basically something skull toilet, that whole thing.
Right, yes. No, see, I'm going to make a, metagame call here and say that no one's going to run the dirty combo deck.
Oh, I think there are at least 2 Canadians that are going to heavily consider running the combo deck.
Yeah.
One of them might not have a choice.
Also true.
Yeah, I mean, like, Cursed is going to be obligated to run this, isn't he?
A little bit. And then this is the only deck in the list of the top 8 that we're talking about here that has Trixie in it. So, like, where does that leave Hithrock? And then Minty got top 4 at BabsCon with the adventure version of this.
All right, okay. I may have made a calculated risk. But man, my bad.
So we'll see. We'll see. Something opinion bad, feel bad though. All right, you got to come at me aggressively on something. What you got?
What, you wanna just put yourself out there and defend against the world?
I mean, either that or start things off and tell me how wrong I am along with someone else about something.
Let's see here. So we're talking about Growcord, right? All right, you wanna explain a Growcord versus Silverstream?
Okay, bring it up. I'll let you all go first.
Okay, Goat Smash. You have troublemakers. Goat's very good at smashing troublemakers.
Wait, no. GP's the only one that said that Growcord would win against Silverstream, right? That's what, like, I'm not reversing again?
No, I said Silverstream would win against Growcord.
Is that what that said?
Is
no,
that how I phrased
that's
it? No,
that's not what that says.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Then I did say Growcord would win against Silverstream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, did I get this? I probably got this backwards.
You got this backwards, didn't you?
Okay,
you said that Silverstream would win.
Okay, so I think the only hope I have of defending for Silverstream here is that this has Weirback. And Weirback is just incredibly annoying. If you can get a hold of that and just replace the stuff out from under the Goat every time he tries to do anything impertinent with a troublemaker, he's not going to have a good time.
Right. The important thing is there's only one legal target you can use for Weirback that will stop Grogard from being able to farm, and that is Bluefy. And if you're using Bluefy with Weirback, then that means you can't use the Lord Tirek loop because Grogard will just override that. So that's my thought process. Is Grogard doesn't need friends. Friends are a luxury.
So the game plan here is just Grogard smashes troublemakers by himself?
I think the game plan here is Grogard smashes troublemakers with the aid of like a billion extra flips.
Yeah.
And at the very least leaves up epic troublemakers that make it very, very challenging, if not nigh impossible, for Silverstream to actually confront point-wise. Like, how is Silverstream going to be generating unicorn tokens reliably when, and enough unicorn tokens reliably, when Grogard is just not playing friends?
By looping Mistmane.
Okay. Looping Mistmane is expensive. Do you think that a pink-white deck looping Mistmane is going to be able to outrace orange, I don't actually need characters farm without some method of point acceleration? If you think you can get the unicorn tokens, like, by all means, go for it, but you're going to have to be sacrificing your own friends. That means you have to play your own friends, and that means you've just spent AT to do that.
Well, I mean, when Mistmane leaves play. You get them out. You can recoup some of the cost with Saddle Row. I mean, like, I can come up with a game state that would do it. I don't know how realistic that game state is.
That's fair. I forgot about the Mistmane looping itself creating the unicorn tokens. That's a good point.
Like, At some point, you have Grogar, like the actual Troublemaker. So there's things you can do. There's probably a line of play with Grogar that makes it so that you can just keep frightening unicorn stuff.
Probably. At least frighten the bodyguard before you're going to drop a Catajack or something.
Yeah.
Ivory, thoughts?
This matchup I actually wasn't 100% sure on. I do still think Silverstream is probably favored, but it's definitely really close here. Silverstream needs a good board state.
I think this one is probably closer than the previous one we were talking about. Silverstream being able to guaranteed find a smile off of latest greatest, or being able to find the Bluefy, get the weird backs if you need to. Like there is useful stuff here, and Spoons does do some work in just taxing a lot of the extra effects. Interesting.
We need to go play 20 games and see what happens.
Clearly. How about like one or two more? What else you got, R?
I don't know. I heard Fluttershy Thorax in there somewhere.
Yes, I want to know the Fluttershy Thorax matchup. I think R and I said that Fluttershy wins.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Actually, I think when I looked at this, I was like, it's a 50-50. Who cares? Because, like, neither of them has Troublemakers, and they both have about equal disruption, I think. The bounce doesn't really matter that much from whatever her name is, Yona.
It matters on Birds of a Feather quite a bit.
Yeah, like that's all it hits.
Yeah. So my justification for this one is very simple. One of these
is cute.
One of these is a traitor to the hive. The other is not. I'm obviously predisposed against the traitor to the hive.
Yeah. My thing is like, what is Thorax doing that's going to be faster here or have more disruption?
What is Thorax doing?
Yeah.
I don't think Thorax is doing anything that's going to be. Oh wait, did I vote for?
You voted for the traitor.
Ah, yes. I think that in this matchup, the value gained through Birds of a Feather, Antoine, and adoption options will outweigh or at least match the value gained by being able to confront from home and use CC and Flitter. The bigger issue here is that Fluttershy is not currently running Scary Story, and also runs a lower bonus problem deck. And I think Thorax being able to capitalize on getting more points, even if all they're doing is trading face-offs, Thorax alone being big enough to confront many of these problems, or at least have a high power there, means that Fluttershy might not be able to get points from DFOing, trading back and forth if Thorax can be moved up with like a Defend the Hive. I think that's the thing that does it. I think Thorax's problem deck gives him the advantage.
Maybe. I mean, if you get the blue stuff out, then you're not going to be doing as much couch potatoing, and so you will have more power in face-offs than just a straight nurturing nature deck normally would.
It's a fair point.
And you've also got Shoeshine, the Destroyer of Worlds.
Yeah, but Shoeshine can also be hit with a scary or an unsat.
Yeah.
Or a Yona if she gets too big.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Thorax does have the 3 more removal. That's right.
Yes. 3 more removal with the 3 scary story.
Because there's no blue removal in Fluttershy, yeah.
Correct. Thorax also potentially has more point acceleration.
Removal, but yeah.
Yeah. Thorax also potentially has more point acceleration because Thorax has both the higher problem bonus as well as kind as can be. You can make the argument that maybe Buckball Championship counts as point acceleration for Fluttershy instead. That's fair.
Well,
yeah, because it has that.
It is something.
I don't necessarily know why the being your problem deck matters.
Because you have the means of threatening Nurturing Nature from doing the most efficient play Nurturing Nature can do, which is simply go for a DFO by exhausting my characters at home. That's not good enough. That gets you 2 points, but if Thorax just chooses to stay at a problem and doesn't go for a DFO every turn, or holds 1 AT for Defend the Hive, you can snipe the bonus points.
Oh, sure, okay.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Right, although I think my counterpoint here is that there aren't a whole lot of, I think, single target things in Fluttershy's deck that Thorax would really care to mess with, versus there is one thing in Thorax's deck that if it comes down, it's got a bullseye on it. That Birds of a Feather is not going to have a good time.
Sure. With the 3 pieces of interaction you have for it?
The 3 pieces of immediate speed interaction, if it's on the field, it's going to get Yona'd.
That is a good point. The question is, can enough value be generated out of using it even once on each turn with Antoine in play to make it worth it?
Did you just sideboard out Brian on this matchup?
I mean, yeah, probably.
Like, it does remove resources, which
Well,
I guess the only thing you care
out.
about is stick?
Sure, but even if all I'm doing is knocking all your stuff home, or you're knocking your stuff home at the end of a DFO and have to resolve your home limit, if you don't have the Birds of a Feather to save all your critters, you're going to be sad.
I think you probably drop on Thorax's side the 2 focused attentions, the 2 Autumn Blazes, and like a Brian. Maybe a Raccoon Rampage instead, just because Brian is a cheap friend.
I think you're going to want those Bryans around to protect your Birds of a Feather.
Brian doesn't protect Birds of a Feather from what Fluttershy can do.
Not in this matchup, but I think that's a poor decision overall.
I'm talking sideboarding for this matchup.
Yeah, just sideboarding.
And Fluttershy drops Friends Are Always There, and at least 2 Fluttershy Pony Pirates. Maybe the 3rd one. I think the fact that Bug is big gives Bug edge.
Yeah, having a giant main is pretty helpful.
It does help with the efficiency, that's fair. I don't know.
But 7 versus 6. Because, like, generally, Thorax isn't bigger than that. But does Thorax running the thing that makes critters not count against your home limit?
No.
No, yeah. Okay.
Well, Bug would hope, but the Fluttershy, if they know this is coming, they can also try to work around this. Like, a Plush Dash pulling a bunch of stuff up could go bad.
That's true. I think you may make the argument that Fluttershy needs to run a little bit more disruption. Maybe if Fluttershy finds a way to slot in Scary Story, this gets better.
Bug at 0 power. How do you like that?
Bug is 0 power. Bug is small. Explain your smallness. Oh, haha, you can't.
I explain your smallness.
Yeah.
Is exhausted.
Yeah.
Bug
All
is
right,
Bug is tired. One more.
one more.
All right. Where else do we got some contention here? Where's
Just pick a unanimous one.
Yeah, unanimous. Let's go.
No, geez, I want you to explain why you're favoring Skystar over Honk.
Skystar.
That's a good one.
Let's see. Silver Stream. Wait. Skystar.
You're favoring
over Honk.
Skystar over Silverstream.
That one. Okay. I need to see the deck lists.
I think this is pretty close.
Because Princess is big. Yeah.
If your argument is Big Twy and Parachute, then I think that's a good answer. If your argument is anything other than Big Twy and Parachute, then I think I have questions.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where it was. Like, yeah, there's a lot of removal, but there's also a lot of anti-removal in Skystar.
What is this?
Yep.
What does Skystar do if you get the loop online and just put up a wall of troublemakers?
I mean, you'd probably be very sad.
Cry. I don't think there's anything it can do.
I believe in my head, like a catchy song, does allow you to bypass troublemakers.
And I guess you've got the Catajack, which will.
Or no, that's flip one fewer cards. You know what? That's still good enough though, because that stops the loop.
Yeah.
Bugle says, "Let Pinky deal with it."
Hope Pinky deals with it.
Pinky always does exactly what you need her to do.
No hope, belief.
I had some crazy luck with Pinky. I forget when that was.
Yeah, you did. It was Continentals last year.
I wasn't running this. I was in the other.
No.
Wait, no, because
No,
I
it
don't think
wasn't
I've run
Continentals.
Pinky in Continentals. I don't know. It was some tournament though.
Oh, it was 2 years ago when Pinky was in Reanimator there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
And Chaos Magic Blast.
Yeah.
I think I've left like 2.
Oh, maybe
that
that's
was
what I was
dumb.
thinking of. That was a stupid one, yeah.
Yes, you had belief on your side there.
I mean, Plurite's going to be basically useless against both players because Silverstream just looks at Plurite and is like, "Okay, I'll retire it to Bodyguard. Thanks for the free unicorn token, bro." And Kate and the Skystar looks at it and is like, "All right, okay, I'll frighten it with Luna."
Or bodyguards it, or
or bodyguards it. So I think Plurite just gets dropped. I think Plurite is just useless.
or yeah, I think you sided out. Like, there's also belly flop. Like,
I think you keep those around because even if all you're doing is making them waste some time going in to look for stuff that's still worth something. Not having Big Twy on the field leaves them vulnerable, and they're going to protect Big Twy.
Plurite takes Big Twy to retire. Maybe. It may be your best answer to Big Twy.
Yes.
And then you just reanimate Big Twy. Like, the thing that is actually funnier here is the fact that the Silverstream matchup, hold on, let me take a look for a moment. Okay, with the exception of the one copy of Winterzilla, the Silverstream matchup has no answer to +1. So +1 has almost none of its weak text.
yeah.
It's much closer to redeeming qualities.
I don't know. Silverstream is a little light on that, isn't she?
Resource removal.
One claw,
Deck can't do everything.
Winterzilla, find the Winterzilla with the Grogar. Anamoy asked, does this now mean that Pipsqueak has significant meta impact?
No.
Pipsqueak? No. I mean, Pipsqueak's in 2 of these decks because Silverstream needs bodies and cards, and Cadence needs bodies and cards.
And Pipsqueak
Yeah.
is small.
Also, that's a question for Meticulous Talks. Sim doesn't rate things based on meta impact unless it's like all the way at the top.
Or all the way at the bottom.
Right? We rate things on game impact. Pipsqueak does okay in games. He's yeah.
I forget what I rated him. I think at this point I would say he's like a 3.
Yeah. He's probably a 3. Maybe he gets an extra half a point just because he has found home in both control and aggro.
And they'll find a home in anything that is capable of running pink and would like an additional card.
He's so small he fits in anywhere.
Like, maybe not pink farming. Is that a thing? That needs to be a thing.
It is a thing.
It
Skystar
was a thing in like Candlelight Nights.
It's still a thing. Skystar Chaos Farm, remember?
Yeah.
With the buried punch that flips for like 13 power, and then spiking Gabby and just flip like a billion cards.
Oh yeah. That was a fun deck.
It is a fun deck. It's one of the ones that I think is in like the next 8 decks down. Not exactly 8 decks down, but somewhere in 9 through 16. Okay, so maybe one last recap here, taking a look to see which of us has a particular list favored over others.
I like not thinking, and Goat Smash. Goat Smash without thinking.
I believe that I had Thorax favored in 5 matchups. Yeah, I had Thorax favored in 5 matchups. Aura, you had Goat favored in
Too many.
lots in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matchups.
Yes.
Yeah, so what's the best deck after all this?
I have explained my rationale for Goat Smash.
I think I have Thorax pretty highly rated.
You have Thorax in 5 matchups as well.
I only have Cadence in 4.
Most of these are pretty close. It is worth noting that with relatively rare exception, most of us have given each of these decks either favored 3 or favored 4, with like 1 or 2 exceptions.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone gave any deck favored 6.
We would need to be looking into that if the deck beats literally the next 7 best decks.
Actually,
Not that this list is necessarily the top 8, but
it's not definitively the top 8, but there's good data behind the selection of these decks. Yeah, I think it's 5. I think it might be capped at 5. Ivory gave Thorax 5 as well. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't have favored. Okay.
How did Royal Tutor do?
That's
Not
favored in
great.
a fair number of places.
Yeah, the Matrix is difficult to read, but it's difficult.
It's
Yeah.
easier to read now than it was before when we had the top half of this not blacked out. That
I
got
disagree,
confusing.
actually. I disagree.
I mean, if you have everything fully populated, this you don't need the other half of it because you can figure out what it is. If you don't, and we didn't originally, it made sense, but then it's just like, wait, what does this one mean? Not that we didn't do that a few times anyway, so.
So, hey, y'all have 2 weeks of speculation as for what our answers on the next stream are going to be, because you know what time it is.
I want everyone to figure out or to guess what I'm gonna run, and then tell me what you think I'm gonna run.
So that you can then decide what you're
So
going to
I
run.
can figure out what I'm gonna run.
So that you could just take that answer and say that's what I'm running.
Queen Novo Flash B Queen Farm. Come on,
Run this.
I
Why
can
is this
already
link
tell
purple?
what that is.
Yeah, I can already tell what that is too.
Why was that link purple?
Because it's probably something you have saved.
You know what that link is. Yeah, a couple quick announcements. Coco, sign up for Coco. This is technically the last night to sign up for Coco.
And hey, it's like there's a bunch of relatively high-power deck lists out there.
Good time to practice.
What is people saying expecting me hiss? What? Is that Queen?
I'm expecting Cheese and Ivory to say Thorax, me to say Chrissy, and Aura to say Hiss.
I think I'm running the traitor. What?
I don't know why you're expecting me to say anything for this. I'm judging.
I mean, that's...
Did we ever announce that you were judging?
I think we just
I think-
did.
By the way, I'm
we had
judging.
previously.
Yeah. Anyway, some high-power deck lists if you're looking for something to play in Coco.
No, I think whatever you're playing, Aura, you say Hiss.
I mean-
Got it. Cool. Okay. Any other announcements?
Coco, Everfree. Yeah, that's about it. Remember, the Everfree schedule's been posted, so go figure out what you're doing. We'll go have a link to the schedule. They've also announced their COVID policy, so pay attention to that. And
Yep.
yeah, the events schedule thing is actually very nice this year. They went and improved it.
Yes. All right. Well, that will wrap up our discussion on this topic for today. We would like to give a big shout out to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your regular support. If you aren't currently a patron and you enjoy what we do, please consider donating, as doing so does enable us to continue making content like this and lets you earn some great perks as a bonus. If you have comments or questions you'd like to send our way, feel free to reach out to us through Facebook, Twitter, or email. And if you're a patron, you can also chat live with us on Slack any day, anytime. Especially when it's so dang hot. Just up till 3 in the morning. Yes.
So hot out.
I don't know about
Fine.
you. I've got 2 air conditioners.
I have an air conditioner. I also have an upstairs.
I got 2.
Well,
Well, I got 3.
Yeah, you also have a...
Can I has one?
No!
I actually do have an extra one.
If you're looking to watch any of our previous videos, including tournament recordings, you can find them on our YouTube channel, linked just below the stream. With all that said, thank you to each and every one of our viewers, both here now and watching this recording later. We are, as always, Commentary is Magic. I am, as always, a tomato.
Big
Oh, right.
cheese.
I was supposed to post something in chat.
I like that name.
I am, as always, a tomato.
No, ours is I forgot to post something in chat.
I just don't know what went wrong.
And...
And...
And
And...
And
and
And... And books. God, I love books.
I still
Andy.
haven't figured out a name. I'll let you know when I do.
Your name is And.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My name is And, apparently.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.